everyone. So I always end up having to do an intro to the live videos that I post because they always get manipulated. Um, but I just wanted to quickly share. This video is going to be discussing the poem that I wrote, The Invisible Came Looking, and why I wrote it, and the events that took place that inspired me to write it. Basically, all the events are paranormal based, spiritual, however you want to put it. Crazy things that you can't explain other than God or spirits or however you want to put it again. Things that just blow my mind still. Things that have happened, especially right before, this was last year, mind you, right before I was going to take my life, which I do believe was orchestrated, and I was manipulated into those type of feelings and thoughts. I've been learning that a lot of people, a lot of close friends, or schoolmates, or just family, just I think there was a lot of situations, and not just in this town, all over the place, where they are basically coerced into suicide, manipulated into doing it, or whether you want to believe it or not, there's a lot of dark magic placed on people too, and I think that's happened a lot more, and we need to start talking about it. But this is me, because the anniversary is coming. It just came up a day or two ago of a year since I wrote that poem, and it's almost it's actually already past, I believe, the anniversary of when I decided. Yeah, it had to have been, because I wrote the poem after, so it was when I decided I was going to take my life, and I ended up not, because God literally fucking said absolutely not. So, and then, woke me up to what was going on, thank God. Literally. So, there wasn't much left out, honestly. A lot of it stayed in the live. Nothing got too messed up. But there was one really important thing I wanted to mention that kind of got cut out. Was the sunflowers, which I thought was, a really incredible, crazy thing. So again, I didn't say anything until, this live, but I had bought in sunflowers for my mother as, I didn't have much money or anything, but I figured, that would be a nice gesture, to give her as, a last gift, and, I obviously didn't tell her that, but that's what I did, and I got her the sunflowers, and she, of course, let them die, didn't water them, and they were dead guys. They were hanging over, really dead. And what I did was I watered them. I think it was literally that night that that I almost did it. And the next morning I woke up and the fucking sunflowers were nothing happened. And I don't mean just they rose up a little bit. No, they were better than when I bought them. It was fucking crazy. I wish I had a picture of that. But I just thought that was an incredible thing. Definitely something that you don't ever see. It was a God thing, definitely. But I just thought I'd mention that. Again, there really wasn't much else that was left out of that. Again, just a lot of weird experiences that I had that definitely, even through, animals, nature, and again, this is, things where, even my ex at the time was what the fuck? You know what I mean? One thing I will mention briefly that kind of was cut out a little bit, so I mentioned, the Cardinal dive bombing into the car, when we were in the car together, and it missed, but he specifically came and told me a couple days later that he hit one, or one did the same thing, and he felt the thuds from the Cardinal and killed it, unfortunately. So I don't know what that was about or whatever, but again, there was a lot of weird things where even he was very visibly fucking what the fuck is going on, disturbed, you know what I mean? I don't believe it, what the hell. So, I just thought I'd throw those couple things out there that were kind of cut off in the video. So, a lot towards the end, you're gonna see, things get cut off, but I do try to leave those live film up there because I want you to see how these can be manipulated. you know, how these, and I don't think it's my signal, guys. Like I said, I've told you over and over, my signal's fine. Everything else works fine besides when I try to post stuff or record on a live. You know, it happens constantly. It's always when I say really important stuff. So, and again, my phone constantly overheating, barely charging, you know, a lot of stuff I can definitely tell you is not an accident. But again, you know, I like to share those raw footages, one, because like it took time to like record those and I don't feel like continuously repeating myself, and two, like I do it for evidence to show you guys, like none of this is edited or manipulated, like this is what happens. You know, I document every single thing that I can, any little thing, even if it doesn't seem significant at the time, I document it because it may be later. So here's my story about The Invisible Came Looking, and you know what happened that inspired me to write it. So I hope you enjoy. So I shared a memory, and that's funny, I just was talking about my poem. I don't know if I got that part uploaded. I think it was on a live. I think it's today or yesterday. It was a memory that popped up. It was the first time I wrote my first poem, The Invisible Came Looking, and basically what I've never really explained too much of what it was about, but the poem was inspired by the paranormal events that took place basically when I was about to end my life. And what I truly believe was, like, obviously my spirit team and the angels and God, you know, letting me know, like, hey, wake the fuck up, like, this shit is happening to you, and don't take your life, this isn't your fault, like, you know, this isn't you, these aren't your thoughts, like, it's people doing this to you. And there was just a whole lot of weird fucking shit that went down, like things that I can never explain. And, well, I can, it's God. And, you know, spirits and angels, in my opinion. But to the normal eye, in me at the time, I could never fucking explain it. It was it was crazy. It made me believe again. Because again, I've always been a firm believer in spirits. I loved, again, I don't like saying ghost hunting. I love communication with spirits. I love doing all that stuff, guys. Like that, you know, that's something I always had a good connection with them. They always wanted to talk to me. They always communicated with me. They always would, like, you know, react to what I would say, because I respected them, and I think I have good connection on the spiritual realm. So, you know, basically, just because of my ex, you know, the person I was in the relationship with at the time was very, you know, how do I put it, like, ghosts don't exist, nothing exists, nothing's real, you know, God's not real, blah, blah, blah. Yet, you know, it makes no sense with a lot of these people with those ideologies, because then they go and they summon, like, in my opinion, they use dark spiritual type shit, and they believe in that, but they don't believe in light. It just doesn't make sense to me. Or, it was just obviously to convince me, to get me disconnected from the spiritual, which I think that was a lot of it too. So obviously, you know, the longer I was with this person, you know, the more I lost my connection with the spiritual, and I always did deep down believe, but it was kind of like, you know, I was just kicked down to the ground so fucking bad that it was just to the point where, like, is there really anything out there? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point of all this anymore? You know what I mean? And basically, right towards the end, when I was really, like, about to do it, you know, and I already discussed all that already, that's when things started getting fucking paranormal. And so there was a bunch of, Wegmans has always been haunted as shit now, and everybody would literally make jokes, Kaylee, your ghosts are back. Like, it was always my ghost, you know what I mean? They were particularly active around me. They'd just call out my name, they would mimic my voice. People would be like, did you, like, say that? I was like, nah, I'm across the store, dude. And they'd be like, well, I just heard your voice. Or I would hear my name being called, just a whole bunch of weird shit. And like I've literally had like a spirit open like a heavy ass metal door that's like 3 times the weight of me, and I've been there like for years and years, and that door never opened on its own. It wasn't wind or anything like that. Like I walked towards it and it just fucking opened. There was just like a whole bunch of crazy stuff. But when I started losing my faith and everything and my connection to the spirit realm, weird shit happened. And and again, this is a lot with my poems about. So basically what happened was, now I got moved to produce, and again, I was like literally at the entire Wegmans company, probably the only overnight produce worker in the entire company, so woohoo for me, because again, they target you in every aspect. I got moved after being there and serving that department for how fucking long, because all of a sudden after a few years it was all of a sudden a problem that I was in a relationship with somebody in the same department. Of course, obviously that was orchestrated. I got moved and isolated to where I didn't have anybody. I wasn't able to, be around people, and they took my differential pay away, when clearly there was people that I know for a fact was getting it and giving it back. Under the same type of hours as me. It's just everything and anything they could do to fuck with me, and I'm sure people got paid to do it and this and that, but whatever. Justice will be served. So basically I was there by myself alone at night all the time in that department, and Alyssa at the time, she was running the front end, so she had the phone. Now I don't think she was, and there's reasons why I don't think she was making this up. So she comes over to me and she goes, Kaylee, she goes, did you just call me? And I'm like with the produce phone. I said, no. I said, I don't have the phone. It's over there, and I've been here the whole time. And she goes, well, someone just called the store from a produce extension, screaming into the phone, like bloody murder. And I'm like, oh God, like, no. She thought I was messing with her. I'm like, it really wasn't me, dude. And I know, I'm pretty positive she wasn't lying, because she searched, guys, I mean like literally a fucking hour. She searched all over the place to find, because she looked it up, the extension didn't exist anymore. That phone that it called from, that extension, it was an old one. They got rid of it. Never existed. She went around for like a fucking hour, and I think they called twice. She went around for an hour trying to find it. And then I think this might have been the same night a bunch of weird shit was happening to me as well. So like things were getting thrown, doors were being opened, but in particular there was one really fucking weird that happened, and it freaked me out. Like it made my heart pump, everything. My phone like randomly shut down, turned back on or whatever. My music switched off in the middle of a fucking song and turned right to this song called Anyone's Ghost. Like, I don't wanna be anyone's ghost. Listen to the lyrics, guys. I think they were trying to warn me. And basically, and I think that was still when I was with the ex. And again, we all know what was going on with that situation, what I was very protected from, thank God. So that same night, after all that weird shit was going on, then I walk out the door with him, and I hear, wow, like this really loud fucking cat noise. And I looked everywhere, there was no fucking cat. And it was like close, like it was in very close proximity. No cat to be found anywhere. And they say, like in the spiritual, I looked it up, I guess it's like a sign of death, or like, and then that's when like everything started happening. There was also, again, this is all based on my poem with the cardinals, the deer, I'll explain that. So basically, me and Ryan were in the car, and this was like right after, and we were 5 feet on our road, 5 feet from the house, and this cardinal dive bombs, and I mean just straight up suicide dive bombs into the fucking car. But it doesn't hit, like it goes under and manages not to get hit. Just straight up suicide dive bombs into the fucking car. But it doesn't hit, like it goes under and manages not to get hit. And then, like, what the fuck? And then next thing you know, like right after that happened, we look up, and there's a fucking deer just trotting down the road in the middle of the day, a doe. And even, like, my ex was like, what the fuck? Like, he was like, you can tell, like, he was visibly like, what is going on? So, and now I can't, like, obviously confirm if this is true or not. Days later, he tells me, he goes, you know, other cardinal flew into my car. Days later, he tells me, he goes, you know, another cardinal flew into my car, but I ran it over, like I heard the thuds. Now, I don't know if that's true, but he did seem visibly like disturbed by it. And again, now guys, there's been a lot of things that has happened, him in particular, that was visibly disturbing, that he was like, what the fuck? And again, it wasn't me, but I'm starting to realize, I think, that may have been like basically like backfires. Like, I know when this was before, like, obviously I knew what black magic and all that stuff really was, but I learned that when you send out something, it can come back to you if it doesn't hit that person. Like, if they're spiritually protected and stuff like that, when you send out something, it can come back to you if it doesn't hit that person. Like, if they're spiritually protected and stuff like that. Like, if you have like a badass ancestor spirit team, shit can be sent right back. And I feel like that's a lot of what, now that I'm thinking of all of it, I think that's what a lot of it was. So there was that, and then there was this time where, and these are all in the same like vicinity of time, guys. So then I went over to my mom's house, knocked on her door, was waiting for her to unlock it. Next thing you know, I hear like cracking, and this like fucking tree just falls fucking over, and this deer is running away from it. There's another doe is just running, just the deer. I kid you not. And I'm at this point like, what the fuck is going on around here? What is going on? So then too, I was sitting in her car not too long after, on my phone, of course, scrolling away. Next thing you know, I hear this fucking deer's like that in her car not too long after, on my phone, of course, scrolling away. Next thing you know, I hear this fucking deer's like that close to me. There's a deer just walking up on me. And me and the deer are like, what the fuck? And the deer takes off. Like, there's just so many weird fucking things that happen. So then there was one too, and this is like very personal, but I explained a lot about already, you know, when I went to take my life. And I do believe spirit protected me by, like, literally, guys, I fell asleep like that. I couldn't even stay the fuck awake to carry out what I was gonna do. When I did this, I didn't ever tell anybody this, but I actually bought sunflowers for my mother. And I never told her, but I bought them for her as basically, like, my last gift to her. And, before I did it. And she put them outside, but she never watered them or anything. And dead guy. What I did before I attempted, or was going to attempt, I should say, I watered them. I gave them lots of water, and that was the same day, I believe. And then the next morning, I wake up, and I go outside, and the flowers are like, and it's not visible, came looking and everything. That's what that's based off of. And I just kind of wanted to share, like, my experience. And then I'm sure there was like a bunch of other stuff too, but if I am in this situation, I'm feeling so, you know, and I know things are going to be worked out very, very soon. So, again, I think Spirit would be spilling all the tea if it wasn't. I just have this feeling very, very soon. So, again, I think Spirit